The best way to solve our energy crisis is to open the door wide for research and development into alternative energy resources, to look for other avenues of energy, and to put the competition back into this country. We have a tremendous amount of oil reserves in this country. We have a tremendous amount of education and knowledge base in this country in regards to alternative energies. Let's allow them to compete, and let's support both of them in an effort to a point where they don't think they have a monopoly. And you're going to watch oil prices drop. You're going to watch our economy get stronger again. When you give someone a favored treatment, and that's one of the biggest things you're going to find difference between me and Obie, is I believe there's no person, individual, business, or entity that deserves favoritism over someone else. The only favoritism I have is towards the American people and the American country. And I do have prejudice against those who want to tear that down. But other than that, we need to work together, and we need to solve this problem.
All right. Hey, thanks for your call, Gary. 845-2155. Dan, welcome to Feedback.
Actually, this is Mark.
Oh, Mark, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Go
no
ahead,
problem.
Mark.
Yeah, I was just curious about those numbers between the $75 an hour versus the $14 an hour at the so-called transplant facilities in the auto industry. Because I worked at one of those when I lived in Kentucky, and I made a lot more than that, plus my benefit package was outstanding. So I'm just curious where those numbers came from.
There was an energy, it was actually Fox Hill Capital Management had a meeting in Stevens Point at the Melvin Laird Center this week, and it's in regards to global economic shift. And they had that data there, and they presented that. The gentleman that was speaking was Paul Dietrich, and he's worked as an advisor to the Czech government and the World Bank, as well as several governments in Asia, and the former Soviet Union was speaking. And this is the data that was presented there. And keep in mind, a lot of times when you look at the overall package, it's not just you individually. There's a lot of people involved in the labor industry. Some get paid more, some get paid less, that bring that down. And it's the total cost of that car. And so that money that you made in that industry probably was on the high end, and the others are down. If you also look at the situation over there in Detroit, I doubt if there's anybody making $74 an hour on average over there when you look at it, but it actually comes out to that because of the way in the methods and the benefits.
Yeah, and another thing I'd like to say is some of those companies that come over, most of them locate in rural areas where the property costs are not going to be so high for them, whereas I know in Detroit, what are their property taxes going to be? So that's going to hurt a lot too.
My fear is the 83 cents in China.
Well,
that scares me, because that means what Pat said earlier is really a fundamental point. Back in World War II, World War I, the fact that we had industry and we could just overnight change that around and build our armaments and build our defense was a major asset in this country. Yep. Once we lose that, we're sitting ducks. Exactly. I don't know if we'll actually see war as we've seen war in the past. We're already being infiltrated and invaded and taken away economically. Maybe nobody will even want to fight us. There won't be nothing left. We have to take a stand, and we have to change things.
Well, I guess the only thing else I can add is, these companies that come over and create the jobs like that, they're not bad people regardless of what country they come from, because they do create jobs. They're not sweatshops like they might be in their homeland. And, I enjoyed all of my time there, and I cry every time I get paid now because it's not even close. But I moved back home to Wisconsin for family reasons.
Okay.
And I have no problem when other people from other countries want to set up shop here. I have a problem when we set up shop over there.
Right.
All right. Thank you, Mark. 845-2155. Let's go to Joe. Joe, I got about a minute before news.
Oh, my God. I need more than that.
Well, I guess.
Anyway, I'll make her quick. Says, yes, I agree as well that we're in some trouble. And I've called this radio program on numerous occasions and told the listeners that much as well. And I believe the problem is with the United Nations. It is with the Council on Foreign Relations. I've stated this many times. I think that's where I think our country is being destroyed from within, and we need to look at that. And I really appreciate your comments, and today it's fantastic. I know Dave Obey's been in office, 6 years?
38 years
38?
in Congress and about 6 years in the state.
My God, and now Russ Feingold, he ran, I remember when he first ran, it was going to be a one-term deal.
Yeah,
He's
so
now
sure.
celebrating his, 16th year?
It's 13th, I believe, or 14th. Yeah, it's start of his third term.
It's more than one term. But anyway, we need to recognize where the problem really is and start attacking that.
All right, Joe, thank you very much. And we'll come back for our third segment with Daniel Mielke of 55 Feedback in just a moment. And back we are in our final segment of 55 Feedback with Tom King. I'm Pat Snyder. Congressional candidate Dan Mielke running up against the incumbent Congressman Dave Obey, something that's been repeated year after year after year after year.
You're the first one in the race. Is there any other Republican opposition on the horizon? Are you looking at a primary?
Well, actually, there were two in the race, and one's already dropped out. Jeff Tyberg was running. He announced that he was running, and he stepped down, I don't know, a few weeks ago. At this point, I understand I am the only candidate, and I am probably the candidate for the Republican candidate for Congress.
And we have been at similar meetings over the years, and the one thing I've noticed is that your wife's always with you.
Yes, she is. Well...
I mean, I've never seen Dave Obey's wife. Have you, Tom?
My wife...
Yes, I have.
You have? Really? Where?
She comes back when, on election day when they have their...
Oh, and she has a vote.
Well, maybe that's it.
Well, I don't know about Dave Obey, but I'll tell you this. My wife is my partner. She's been my partner in business for some 30 years. We work together. We fight together. We work together. She's my elbow in the rib when I say the wrong thing, and she will be with me throughout the campaign, and she will be with me in Congress. If I have to pay her own wages, she will be there because she is an asset and a part of my life that will always be a part of my life. And
do you have to wear a flak jacket then when she's giving you those elbows when you
no,
start saying things?
I need to feel your pain. And she's giving me the elbow for the others. When I get off track, she gives me the elbow. So, yeah, I'm feeling your pain.
Let's head back to the phones at 845-2155. Tony, welcome to Feedback.
Good morning, gentlemen, and good morning, Daniel, to you as well. I've been following along. Really like a lot of what you have to say about manufacturing and the illegal immigration as well. I guess the point that I wanted to address was you talked a little bit about alternative energy. Where do you come down in terms of nuclear power? And I guess at that point I'll leave my question out there and take the answer off the air.
All right, thanks, Tony.
Well, in regards to nuclear power, quite frankly, I live very close to where a nuclear power plant was supposed to go up, and that power plant was fought against and was put down by a lot of people that I am dear to. I have concerns about nuclear power. I'm not as fearful of it as I may have been 30 years ago. I need to look at what's happened in the environment as far as how they're handling things and how safe it is. The one concern I do have in nuclear power, and that is we are in a very hostile environment today. We're facing a lot of terrorist attacks, a lot of things that are happening. That concerns me. Nuclear fuel is a danger. Opportunities to do a lot of damage are there. I'd have to weigh that out. I would much rather see, alternative energy in regards to solar, wind, probably hydrogen fuel, and some of these things more so than nuclear. But I guess I'd have to weigh that out and look at it and see because things have changed over the years, and I don't want to just run on past prejudice.
All right, 845-2155. Stephen, good morning. Welcome to Feedback.
Good morning, and how are you all today?
Very well.
I have one question. I want to know what his stance is on the war we're fighting today, and I'm going to take my call offline.
All right, thanks.
Okay, well, that's a tough one. Keep in mind, I am not in Congress. I do not have the information that congressmen were given. I don't know all the ins and outs. I don't know the truth. All I know is what I read in the papers. So for you to ask me where I stand on the war, I'm going to decline to give an opinion on the past, but I will deal with the future, where I have an impact and where I have an idea. And that is, number one, my son is entering into the Army. He'll be going into basic training in May. And there's one thing that I do believe in strongly, that our military is here to protect this nation, and we need to protect our nation.